Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Jake Silva, and welcome to the first installment of the Jake Silva Experience exclusively on YouTube and also on Sports Wave Network. If it is your first time ever here on the channel, I encourage you guys to like, subscribe, hit the bell button for raw, unfiltered video uploads of everything that I got to experience here on my mind of certain things, whether it's sports, whether it's politics, or wherever it may be. So strap on in and enjoy the experience. I mean, I got to tell you guys, I really don't know what I was really watching at all for this Thursday night football game between the Seattle Seahawks and the Chicago Bears. I have a lot of people that I am well respected with that are diehard Chicago fans. And I feel bad for every single one of them. And look, Chicago is such a beautiful city. I mean, it is a very rich sports city outside of Dallas and Los Angeles and New York. And Chicago is very big for at least for successes. And Chicago is very rich in their history. I mean, outside of, the Windy City and Chicago deep dishes, Chicago dogs, all that other normal stuff. Chicago's always been known for their rich histories, whether it's the Blackhawks, the Cubs, the Bulls. But I feel bad for every single one of the Chicago Bears fans. They deserve much better than this. And after what I watched um, this past game on a Thursday night football, I mean, Caleb Williams was 16 of 28 for 122 passing yards, no touchdowns, one pick, and had a rating of 53. This is an absolute, just utter disaster in Chicago. And I'm hearing all of the fan bases literally screaming out, sell the team, fuck the McCaskies. I mean, eh, what could you possibly do if you're the Chicago Bears? This here is just explaining everything about what the Chicago Bears need to do next when it comes to the offseason. I know a lot of people are vouching for Ben Johnson to be the next head coach of this organization. But I have a question for you. When you look at this type of culture, when you got brown bags that are literally being worn by a lot of Chicago fans, and when you are promised that this team could literally be reincarnated and would be much, much better than what it's been for the longest time, that's not easily fixable by a smart guy who I am well respected of as an offensive coordinator and what he's done in Detroit. This is a cultural damage for the Chicago Bears. And I understand, you want to go full offense. I get that. And Caleb Williams honestly deserves all of it. And right now, Caleb Williams is experiencing with what Justin Fields and so many quarterbacks before him have been going through for over the last, I don't know, 20 plus seasons. This Bears organization is just a sad, sorry shit show. It is not going to get any better if they do not get a cultural guy in there. And the guy that I think could very much fit this organization would be Mike Vrabel. And what we've seen with his successes in Tennessee is that we understand during the end with the A.J. Brown situation, he took a Ryan Tannehill type of team with a heavy runner in Derrick Henry and a defense that from first to fourth string never gave up on plays. They absolutely played very good shutdown defense. They were able to get to the quarterback. They were able to shut down a lot of their offensive pieces. I mean, we've seen this team become the number one seed in the AFC. We also seen them upset big teams like Baltimore, and they got all the way to the AFC Championship. You have got to get a coach in here. And they tried to. You know what's crazy about this is that at one point they had Jim Harbaugh in the palm of their hands but unfortunately they vetoed it because of Kevin Warren and his previous beef in the Big Ten. Who gives a flying shit? I mean, put your ego aside, tuck your tail in. I don't get this, and clearly the fact that you are literally like throwing out your ego before you actually pull your head out of your you know what and looking at the Chicago damaged culture, I mean, just tells you a lot why Chicago is just not having successes with trying to get build together a winning team or at least having a winning season. Chicago can clearly not build offense right. They've always been such a great defensive, like monsters of the midway, proud culture for a long time, probably since the 1950s, if not even beforehand. I wasn't even born then. But this has to change. The Chicago Bears fans cannot live another breathing moment and watching every single week this Chicago Bears team turn into absolute dog shit. They really cannot. And look, I mean, this experience is raw and unfiltered, and it's going to give a piece of my mind. But Bears fans deserve better than this. And at the same time, we thought that Justin Fields was bad. Justin Fields had to go through the entirety of the weight of this organization, much like Caleb Williams is doing right now. Clearly, Caleb Williams, and what's happening is that he's watching all of the other rookie quarterbacks around him. Jaden Daniels, brand new coach, GM, ownership, everything's so brand new in Washington, and they have a winning culture now. And I believe Dan Quinn is really going to make the best out of the situation that the Washington Commanders will be in. Drake May, it's clearly a rebuilding season for the New England Patriots. But the only thing that the Patriots have to do right, you got to fix up the offensive line. Drake May is deserving of getting some very good offensive weapons. And then eventually, because this organization's always been good on defense. I had no problem with it. But you gotta fix up this offense. And we'll see that this weekend between him and Justin Herbert, what we may actually see in Drake May in the coming years. We just watched Michael Penix, but it's nearly not enough. And I do believe that Michael Penix is very accurate enough and has a very strong pocket presence for a left-handed quarterback in the NFL. And we'll get to see him come the prime time games. So I think that's going to be very, very interesting. And then you also have Bo Nix in Denver, which I live here. And they rant and rave about Bo Nix, and Sean Payton's clearly found his guy. I know a lot of people kind of have their criticisms on Bo Nix, but clearly the kid can throw. Clearly the kid can maneuver and move out the pocket and be able to create space. And all he's dealing with is he's dealing with Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, and just a couple of, small pieces here and there. And yet they do have a running back by committee. But Denver, they've got their franchise quarterback. With Caleb Williams, the number one overall pick, he went into arguably a shitty situation with Chicago, which has been quarterback purgatory for a very long time. This is why that the seat is getting hotter and hotter for GM Ryan Poles. I don't even know how you even have to fix this, but this is a cultural damage. This is going to take a lot more than just a smart offensive-minded guy to really handle the kind of pressure, the kind of culture turnaround. And look, I love Ben Johnson. I really, really do. But I just don't think this is the kind of job that he can honestly take on and try to turn this culture around really, really quickly. And I mean, this is such a damage that is so far beyond Ben Johnson that I'm not sure if he's honestly going to be ready for this. It'll be interesting to see how this all kind of comes about. But if you really ask me with my 2 cents on the whole entire situation that can honestly make the Chicago Bears better, I think you've got to get a culture restoring type of coach that knows what he's doing, is built upon successes, who doesn't take the defense for granted, but at the same time, you got to hire an offensive coordinator who is going to make